Pav's on the show with me now to have his say on this subject matter. What you saying, mate?
Oh man, that video, well, that whole thing yesterday wasn't expected. Like, first of all, big up to Arnold for actually meeting them, because no one's really ever done that with the fans unless it's one of them fan forums. And even then, they'll send over some ambassador to, have a little chat with the people who are there. But some people are annoyed with the group that went there. You have to understand, they went there to protest out his house. After what happened to Woodward's house, he wasn't going to stand there and let people just turn up to his house. He went and met them. He took security, and he knew he was being recorded because he took a picture with them while they're all sitting down. So he knows exactly that all of this was going to go out on social media. He's not stupid. People talking about, oh, he's going to get the sack now. He's not getting the sack. I still think of some of it's PR, but some of the questions have kind of been answered. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I've tweeted out Arnold out. I've tweeted Berta out. And I've tweeted Glazer out because I'm not happy with how we ended our season, the way that the whole season went, and how we're dealing with the transfer market at the moment, where some of our targets are going to other clubs, and like the amount of time we're spending on certain deals, stories about budgets and all this. But I'm still like 50-50 with everything that's been said. Some of it I'll believe, some of it I just think he's saying it to kind of please. Yeah, sorry, man. Someone was ringing me, so it just cut my mic off completely.
Okay.
Yeah, so the stuff I was saying about some of it being PR, there was like quotes about where they talked about new stadium or training ground, and they were saying we need investors and stuff like that. And you're asking for investors, but your owners are constantly taking out dividends. So why would someone want to invest? Like the Glazers need to pull out their own money, just like other owners do, and completely change that training ground, fix some of that stadium. If you're going to build a new stadium, do what Tottenham have done, take out a loan and pay it off. Like, why should you have to rely on other people to come and fund you when you're doing?
In fairness, billionaires will never. Everybody borrows the money or gets investors to build new stadiums. What Spurs have done is they've borrowed the money from a bank, but when they sell the naming rights, they will be paying that debt off with it. Does that make sense? So, what Manchester United may end up being I was going to mute you. There's a bit of background noise. What Man United would look to. This is where Man United fans have got to realise it's to build a new stadium will cost. How much? £1 billion? Something along those lines to build a new stadium in this current climate. To afford that, the Glazers will not spend their own money. So you need an investor, but the investor wants their money back, which means you'll need to sell the naming rights to the stadium. So it's highly likely if we build a new stadium, it won't be called Old Trafford. It will be called the Barclays Arena. The HSBC Stadium. That's the thing I would say to Man United fans. Like, if the Glazers stay, there's going to be compromises. Unless you have a multi-billionaire owner like a sheikh who's willing to spend his own money, because the country he's from is going to keep producing hundreds of millions of pounds a year for him just because of their natural resource. Unless you have an owner like that, it's always going to come through investment and sponsorships. But at the same time, we have fans that don't want investors or sponsorship. So you then become between a rock and a hard place, if that makes sense, Pav. Yeah, I'm good. What do you make of this, my friend?
It's been a long time, man, since I spoke to you. Listen, I'm not gonna fall for this trick. I know where I stand with this club. I've rang you numerous times years ago, and I've always said, so long as these barbarians are in charge, we're not winning no single trophy, and we're not challenging for big trophies. Jose got sacked. I've been very harsh on him. I came down and apologized. Oli, even though he hasn't reached his expectation, he wasn't that caliber of manager. And now we got someone, Eric Ten Hag, who I think he could be a successor if he was actually given the tools, etc., etc. But I just think this is the games that these guys want to play, and I'm telling you, we can't bullshit a bullshitter, innit? You know what I mean? We can't play. The only real reason, I know people are saying this to me yesterday, that's not why they said this to me, that the only reason why they obviously Richard Arnold actually approached them because these guys did not they don't want these guys to go to his house and that, you know what I mean? So repeat what they done to Woodward. And I'm not falling for this, innit? Yeah. We are gonna spend money. I'm not saying United ain't gonna spend money. It's not about I'm not gonna say in the night United don't spend money. We do spend money, but we just don't spend it correctly. That's the difference, Terry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that. I do get that point, and I understand you being skeptical, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. For me, it's just a case of, or they've said they're doing it differently now. And it is football people that have got football backgrounds that are now doing the negotiations, that are now managing these strategies. He didn't say it word for word, but he pointed out that, do you want me out there doing it like Woodward used to do? So we're taking a different approach. Let's see what happens. Remember, we have been successful, very successful. You know, the second greatest Premier League team of all time was created under the Glazers when David Gill.
No. Terry. Can I just cut you off? I'm with KJ. I love KJ, your show. I never say we were successful under the Glazers. In spite of the Glazers, we were successful because we had Sir Alex Ferguson. I can't say that. I'm not giving them.
But that's my point. If you've got the right people running your club, now we may never get to that level of success because you need someone of Fergie's managerial quality. Even as bad as the Glazers are, if we had spent this £1 billion that Arnold speaks about correctly, had a philosophy, bought the right people, held high standards in that dressing room, we would have won more trophies in the last 9 years. We've spent the money. But that doesn't mean that I think I'm happy with dividends being taken, the debt growing. But we can be successful with the Glazers here as long as we're run right. And that's why I'm glad that Arnold's come out, because he's essentially, now that he's flagged to the mast, said what he's going to do. He can't get away from it now. And we've got it on record. Do you get what I mean? There's no bullshitting anymore. You've said it. Let's get it done. So for me, I understand your point, but I think he's put himself in a position now where they can't wriggle out of it. You know, he's put himself on the hook, and we're going to cast him out to sea. A great call, my friend. Thanks for coming on and having your say. I really appreciate it.
Man.
No worries, brother. Take care, my guy. Thank you. Hey, how you doing?
It was good, Terry. Yeah,
I'm good. Tay, sorry, my friend. What's your take on this? Some people not buying it. Some people think it's a good thing that he's done it. Where do you stand with what Richard Arnold had to say yesterday to Man United fans?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it looks staged at the same time, because why would he not think that he's going to be recorded? I think that's a bit strange. But at the same time, he didn't really give any information. Everyone's screaming about the budget, but he said 100, 200, what is it? He didn't really say what the budget was. So I don't really see a problem there. Obviously, they're going to have 100 or 200 million, like in between that. They're not going to have less than that. So I think there ain't no problem there, really. On the other hand, if it wasn't staged, I think the Man United fans who recorded him have kind of like not much integrity. Do you get what I'm saying? They've kind of just released information, and he's had a man-to-man, one-to-one conversation with them, and he's had trust with them to sit down and talk to them about the club and internal information, and they've kind of just leaked it all out. And they're meant to care about the club as well. So it's kind of strange. I get why they've done it, because they're frustrated. And I've been a Man United fan since I was like 3 years old. So I've been through all the times when Rooney done his madness, like, you know, all these things happen. And yeah, I've been frustrated too. But we have to be patient. I think we have to be patient. See what they're gonna do, like the last caller said, because I think we're putting too much judgment on the guy. We don't know anything about him or what he's going to do. So we have to see what happens.
Mate, I couldn't agree with you more. Mo's here. What are you saying, Mo?
Morning, Terry. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. What's your take on this, my friend?
Ridiculous. It's I've never seen a CEO in a pub with fans. I thought it was fake, but fair play to him. He's something that Ed Woodward will never have done. So he shows he's different from Ed Woodward, which is a blessing. As for the transfers and all that, he's starting to realize what CEO of Man United is. He's no more hiding behind Ed Woodward now. Now you're the main man. Now the pressure's on for you and your team, your new team of whoever they are, is to get the deals done. So let's see. Let's see. You've come out with all this structure and we're getting in the right directions, and we've spent a lot of money, and we wasted a lot of money, and this and that. Well, you're in charge of the ship now. It's your ship. Let's see what you're gonna do. Let's see how you're gonna.
Yeah.
Let's see how you're gonna put the club back on its feet, because at the moment, I'm still patient, Terry, but I'm starting to get a bit. I'm starting to walk up and down now and trying to get rid of the nerves and anxiety. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. It's getting a bit. Anything now? I'm. Something needs to land, Terry. Just a little bit of information, or here we go, or anything. Just get something through the door, but make sure it's the right transfer target. But I think we just need to learn how to be patient now going forward, Terry, where it's not about, every club has signed a player, we need to do that. I think now with Man United, I think they're doing it more differently now, and you're going to have to learn how to be patient. And you might not get what you want, Terry, this transfer window, and you're going to have to accept it. If he's talking about going in the right direction, and if that means I'm not going to spend £80 million on a player that might be a flop, or I'm not going to panic buy someone, and I'm going to do a Liverpool and wait for Virgil van Dijk and wait for Alisson, and if they're not available now, go back and get the right player, then they might do that. And I don't know, Terry.
Mo, listen, I hear where you're coming from. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I hear where you're coming from. I really do. And listen, I am skeptical, as other people are. I just have a different approach where I'm gonna sit back and go, okay, this is how I treat people in life. It's like, I'm gonna do this different now. Okay, well, I'll sit back and I'll give you I'll give you the freedom, but also the rope, if that makes sense. Like, I'll give you the freedom to operate and work, but equally, like, there's the rope. Put the noose around your own neck. Like, get it done now, because I'll come. But then there's little more I can even do. I've already pulled my money. I've made a promise to myself. I won't put money back in until I see it being run well. And this is the thing. I will buy shirts again, and I will buy merch again. I'll go back to games again if we're being run well. Because as much as I don't like how the Glazers have done things, the dividends, the debt, etc., if I can see we're being run and operating well, I'm happy to put my money into it. But I'm not going to throw good money after bad. I'm not going to throw my money at a project that I know is going to fail, that's going to hemorrhage money, and that doesn't respect the fans. That's just always been my take. But we'll see what they can get done, mate. I don't think it was PR. I think it was him. Listen, there was talk they were going to go to his house. I think one of the guys that was there yesterday said that we weren't ever going to go to his house. We were just going to take a picture near his street. But fair play for him, to him for coming out.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, I think it was a good move from him. And I think
he shows.
Listen to the voice of the United fans. That they were being respectful to him as well. They were listening to him.
And also, it shows to me that he's different from Ed Woodward. Would have never have done that in a million years. So it shows the man is different. He has different personalities. He's got a different way of thinking, and I think we just need to give the man a chance. I know that he's been in the club at 10 years, but when you're the boss, when you're an assistant and I'm working for the boss, and the boss goes, "This is the way it is," you can't go over your boss's head, because that's your boss. If the boss goes, "I want this to be done this way," even though you got power, Terry, there's not much you can do. Like, if you're my boss, Terry, and you go, "No more, I want it done this way," I can advise you and say, "Terry, it's not this way." But end of the day, Terry, you're gonna have the final say.
No, mate, I couldn't agree with you more.